Margia, am I audible?
Yeah, can you hear me?
ओके गाइस, सो मोस्टली क्योंकि पाकिस्तान और इंडिया वगैरह से हैं, तो काइंडली हम लोग वैसे भी मीटिंग स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं इन नेक्स्ट 5 मिनट्स। तो गाइस काइंडली चैट में कोई भी मैसेज वगैरह लिख दे ताकि हमें पता चले आप लोग एक्टिव हैं। मर्जिया, एम आई ऑडिबल?
Yeah, I can hear you.
ओके, यू कैन प्रेजेंट द स्लाइड्स।
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, yeah, it is showing. So we will stick for the
Okay.
first slide till mostly participant will come. Then we will start. गाइस आप लोग फिक्र ना करो, इंशाल्लाह हम लोग 40 to 50 मिनट्स तक मैक्सिमम इवेंट्स ख़त्म कर देंगे। इसमें हम लोग इतने ज़्यादा स्लाइड्स वगैरह इंक्लूड नहीं करेंगे। मैक्सिमम तो जो मशीन लर्निंग का कंटेंट इंक्लूडेड होगा प्रैक्टिकली, ताकि आप लोग ज़्यादा बोर ना हो। तो साथ आप लोग कोशिश करना काइंडली चैट में भी आप लोग एक्टिव रहें ताकि हमें पता चल जाए हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स थोड़े बहुत एक्टिव हैं। गाइज हम लोग बस 5 मिनट में स्टार्ट करते हैं ताकि बाकी अटेंडेंस भी ज्वाइन कर लें। Margia, let's wait for 2 minutes more, then we will start our meet event.
Yeah, that's grand.
सो गाइस आप लोग चैट में फ्रीली लिख सकते हैं ताकि हम लोग इवेंट स्टार्ट करें। आप लोग काइंडली चैट में लिख दें ताकि हम लोग अपना इवेंट स्टार्ट करें। सो गाइस आर यू रेडी? ओके ओके मर्जिया, स्टार्ट द इवेंट।
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Marigia, and I'm a Alpha Ambassador at the Microsoft Student Learn Ambassador Program. And what we're going to be doing today is, oh, there we go. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be building machine learning models using automated ML with Microsoft Azure AI platform. So how this event will work is I'll be doing sort of a walkthrough rather than going through the slides. The slides that I'm about to go through now are going to be more of a supplementary material if you guys want to go on and make your own models as references. So, as you can see here, in order to be eligible to get the certificates and the LinkedIn Premium, then you guys are going to have to stay for the whole event. Don't worry, I won't take too long. So if you fill out the form in the end, then you guys will be able to get a chance to win Premium and get your certificates. So these are just slides that are kind of references that you guys can use when you guys are making your own models. So stuff like this. I'll be going through all of this in the next few minutes, but I'll be sending these slides over for when the event's over. Okay. And then here I just put in some resources for you guys to use. Okay. So that's just a brief overview of the slides. I'm gonna go over and okay. So
मर्जिया, कैन आई स्पीक
yeah,
लिटिल बिट? ओके सो
yeah,
गाइस
go
हम
on.
लोग इस मीटिंग में हम लोग बेसिकली जो मशीन लर्निंग का मॉडल है वो क्रिएट करेंगे। तो बेसिकली हम लोग स्लाइड्स वगैरह में आप लोगों को इतना ज़्यादा बोर नहीं करना चाह रहे, इसी वजह से मैक्सिमम हम लोग जो मशीन लर्निंग का जो एक पार्ट है वो बेसिकली ऐड करें प्रैक्टिकली, ताकि आप लोग जो बेसिकली जो लोग हैं जिन लोगों को बेसिकली एज़्योर मशीन लर्निंग में इंटरेस्ट है, ताकि उनके लिए भी ये चीज़ कवर हो जाए। तो हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं। ओके मर्जिया, यू कैन स्टार्ट।
Okay, perfect. So what you guys see here is basically the Azure ML platform. And here is where you can create like your tools for machine learning or natural language processing. So for today's event, we're going to be focusing on machine learning models. So first, what we need to do is we need to create a workspace. So in our workspace is where we're going to be storing all of our machine learning models. So I already have one here specifically for this event, but just for those who would like to create a workspace, here is basically what you'd be seeing. So you have to have a name for your workspace. And then you also need to make sure that you have the subscription. So this subscription is basically for the computing power that you need for your machine learning models. But you can read that in your own time. Just for time, I won't be going too much into it. Ah, yes, so this is really important. So if you guys can see here, here's the region section. In the region section, what you choose will basically determine how expensive your computational power will be when you train your machine learning models. So since I'm from Ireland, the closest region for me would be the UK, which is why I picked UK in this case. But for those of you who are in countries like India or Pakistan, maybe you might be using the Asian regions. So that's just something that's important to note. So now that that's gone, I'm going to go ahead and click on MLSA events. So this is going to be the workspace that I'm working on. Okay, so let's just let that load. So now we have, now we're in our workspace, and now we're going to go ahead and choose data to train our machine learning model. So in order to do that, we need to go over here to assets and we click on data. Okay, so as we can see here, I already have data. So before you go on to add in your data to train your machine learning model, you need to actually select a data set. So I'm going to go over here. So Kaggle is something that I personally use for data sets for machine learning models. So I'm just going to go from the start. So here's Kaggle. And if I press on Kaggle, and then we have the Kaggle platform here. So here you can search for data sets and other models as well. But for this case, we just want a data set. So I'm going to do spam emails. Oh yes, so the machine learning model that I will be creating today is going to be on predicting whether or not an email is spam. So if I go on data sets, so you'll have different categories here, but we just need the data sets. So I'm going to click on data set. And you can choose whichever data set you'd like, but I'm just going to go with what's at the top. So here we have spam emails. And now I'm just going to go ahead and click download. Okay, so once that's downloaded, you're going to have to unzip it. So we can go here and then extract all. Okay, so now we have our data set and we can go ahead and start preparing our data. So as I said, now I'm in the data section on Azure AI, and now I'm going to go ahead and click create. Okay, so now we basically need to give our data asset a name, and I'm just going to do email spam. Okay, and it's really important to note that the data set type you pick is tabular. So don't pick file or folder, URI folder. We want tabular. Okay, so now that I've done that, we can click next. Okay, so since I downloaded a data set on my local computer, I'll be picking from local files. But you can also pick files from the web or SQL or Azure. But since I downloaded mine locally, I'll be pressing from local files. So now we do next. This is just where our data will be stored within Azure. So I wouldn't worry too much about this. And then we just click the first one. And then we do next. Okay. So now we upload our file. So we click upload files. Now we click onto Azure and we archive to, and then we press spam.csv. Okay, so now we click next. Okay, So here you're going to see various options such as file format, delimiter, and stuff like that. So the choices that Azure already has for you is perfectly fine. This basically means how the different categories in your data is separated. So whether by comma or space or tab. For simplicity, we just keep it as is, so comma. Okay, so as you can see here, we have all the different types of information that's in our data. So we have the category and then we have the message itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Okay. And then this is basically just the schema. So what you'd want to upload. And these are just all string types, as you can see here, pretty self-explanatory. And we're going to keep both of the columns because our input for our machine learning model will be the message. And then our output would be whether or not it's spam or non-spam. So I'll go ahead and click next. Okay, so now once you've added all of your information in regards to your data, you're gonna be able to see like a full overview. So here we have data type, we have our name. A description isn't too important, but obviously if you make large scale models, descriptions would be important. And then very important here, we add tabular. So yeah, that's all that there. So now we can go ahead and we can create our data set. Okay. So as we can see here, our data set has been created, so we can go ahead and train our machine learning model now. So that's that there. So now what we want to do, now that we've had our data prepared, we're going to go over to jobs. Okay, so this was one that I created as a test earlier. So what we want to do now is we want to go to all jobs and we want to click on create job. Okay, so now here, they basically give you options on how you'd like to train your machine learning model. So for the purposes of this event, we're going to be training it automatically. So training it automatically means that we don't need to use any code. And Azure basically selects the best algorithms for us. And obviously, if you have a bit more experience with coding, you could run your own script. But for today, we'll be doing it automatically. So now we can start configuring the job. Okay, so here we can specify what type of name we want. I'm just going to keep that as is, but you can be more specific. Like we can say ML model for spam. And we want to create a new experiment. So now we go down. And then we can keep this the same. And you don't really need to add a description since it's just a test model. Okay, so we go to next. So here we're going to select our data sets and also what type of task we want our machine learning model to perform. So in this case, I'm going to pick classification model since we have distinct categories that we want as outputs. In my case, I would want the output to be either spam or non-spam. So in this case, I'd pick classification. But you can also do other ones like regression, time series forecasting, natural language processing, or even computer vision. So for this case, I'll be picking classification. So now that I've picked my task type, we can go ahead and select the data that we prepared earlier. So this is the data that I've prepared just there. So now I'm going to click next. Okay, so now it says here that we have our classification, we have our task type as classification, and we also have our data set. So this is also an important part, which is target column. This basically means what output do we want from which column. So in this case, we'd want it to be category, because if you guys remember from the data that I previewed, we had two different types of category. So we had the categories, we had category and message. So the category was where there was all the spam, non-spam, and then the messages were just the emails. So in this case, our target column will be our desired output, which is category, because that's where the spam and non-spam was. So we won't be enabling deep learning for this model, since it's a relatively simple model, we don't need to do all of that. Okay, so here we have validation and test. You don't have to do this, but obviously if you're more experienced with machine learning, then you can go ahead and specify your validation type and also your test data. So here there's different types like automatic. So automatic will basically have Azure picking the best validation type for you. But then if you're obviously more experienced, you can do things like k-fold cross-validation or Monte Carlo. So for this model, we're going to pick automatic. And then test data, we're going to do none, since it's a relatively simple model. We don't need to do different tests. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do next. Okay, so here we basically are going to choose our compute resources in order to execute the training for the machine learning model. So here we have computer cluster, compute instance, or serverless. So for this specific model, I'm going to pick serverless. So you can also choose whether it's CPU or GPU. So for this case, I'm going to pick CPU because it's inexpensive. And then we also have virtual machine tier. So this basically means this also has something to do with price. So low priority virtual machines would be cheaper than dedicated. But for this case, I'll just pick dedicated since I have the subscription for it. And as we can see here, Azure already picked out the virtual machine needed for training this machine learning model. So I can go ahead and click next. Okay. So as you can see here, we have all the different types of things that we selected. So we have our name, we have our experiment name, we don't have a timeout in this case. And then we also specified our task type and data. And then we also specified which column we'd want the output to be. And we didn't enable deep learning. And we selected automatic. So that will make Azure do the things for us. So now I'm going to go ahead and submit training job. Okay. So here we basically completed our job. So what will happen now is Azure will go ahead and train the machine learning model for us. So we don't have to go ahead and add in code or anything. Azure will do that for us. So that's one of the great things about automated ML is it's a really good way to, kind of get used to machine learning if you have an interest in it without being overwhelmed with, different types of code or anything like that. So if we go over to automated ML, as you can see here, our experiment is currently running. So what the experiment is, I probably should have explained this earlier. So our experiment is basically a container that Azure ML Studio holds. And it basically it holds all like the runs and results of the training that Azure does for the machine learning model. And then each run in the experiment is basically a specific configuration to the model. So the stuff that I did just there, it was all just configuring to allow to train the machine learning model. So this could take, so depending on how large your data set is and how much computational power you need, training your machine learning model may take very little time or a lot of time. So in this case, I already have a machine learning model trained using the same data set, and this took around an hour and 21 minutes. So if I click on here, okay, so if I click on here, then it basically gives me all the different types of information that is in relation to this job. So it says completed, which means there was no errors at all. And sometimes you might get warnings like this, where if through training they found that nothing significantly improved, then they would stop the experiment early. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only bad if the training actually fails, then there is an issue somewhere. So here they basically just have all the properties. So I didn't have a script name in my case. And then obviously who created it, the job type is automated ML. And the experiment's all there. And then here it tells you how long it took to actually train this model. And like I explained before, compute target is basically the resources that was used in order to train the machine learning model. Okay, let's see. And then they'll also give you an output. So after Azure has basically trained your ML model, it'll give you the best model that was used to get the outputs. And then they'll give you a summary as well. So they'll give you the algorithm name and then the details and then weighting and stuff like that. And then it also tells you the task type and all of that. Okay. So data guardrails isn't something that we need to be concerned about since we didn't add a featureization. So you wouldn't need to worry about that. Okay, so here is basically all the different types of models that Azure used in order to train. And then it basically selected the best one, which was this algorithm here. And some of these may also have explanations tied to them. Okay, so let's see here. Might take a bit of time to load. Okay, so here you're basically going to get loads of different sort of explanations for different components of the model. So here we have, here it explains the aggregate feature importance, and it basically gives you a chart of the importance here. And then let's see what else there is. Okay, so here we have model performance. So if you can see here, it gives you the output. So it predicted that based on the messages, 73 of the messages were spam, and then 485 were non-spam. So here you have like a really good visual of how of the type of outputs the machine learning model gave. If we go here, so here we also have, this is okay, so this thing here, basically it allows you to explore your data for, oh, let me just show that. Let me try here. Okay, there we go. Internet's acting up a little bit. Okay, so where was I? So I'm gonna just go back. I'm gonna save and okay. Oh yeah, that was the one that's currently running. Let's go here. Let's try that again. Okay, there we go. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so while that's loading, I'll just explain the other sections. So the responsible AI section will basically tell you how the machine learning model responsibly produced outputs. So it'll give you an overview of, say, the biases it mitigated or tried to mitigate. So if you're really into, say, ethics and stuff like that, then the responsible AI feature that Azure AI has is really nice. So for the test results section here, we wouldn't have test results since we didn't have test data. We just said none for that. Okay, let's see here. So I went over aggregate feature importance. I showed you guys the outputs that you could get. Let's see what else is there. Let's look at metrics. Okay, so here you're basically going to get the different types of accuracies that were in the model. And then here we have the accuracy tables. So it's okay if none of these make sense. The main thing is just, actually starting out, getting the data prepared and everything. So yeah, these are basically just if you're big into data and stuff, then all of this would be really interesting. Okay. So let's have a look at what data transformation is. So here, so this diagram here, it basically illustrates the pre-processing of the data and scaling techniques, and then the algorithms that were applied to this model in particular. So don't worry too much about this. Let's see. Go back. Oh yeah, I don't know. Okay, so as you can see here, the one that I just created is going to be still running, and that's okay. Mine is probably extra slow because my internet is acting up, but usually it'll take usually the time it takes is dependent on the size of your data and the computational power. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that I can show you guys. So usually, so these different types of algorithms here, Azure AI may not give you the explanations for it simply because it wasn't the best model that was that ended up producing good outputs. So if you knew more about coding and stuff, then you'd probably be able to tell the different types of outputs that the algorithms had. Actually, we can go ahead and click and see what happens. Okay, so here it basically has different weightings to the better one. Let's see if it has, yeah. So as you can see here, it's not going to display explanations simply because it wasn't the best algorithm, and that's okay. And most of the time, we'll be more concerned about the best algorithm that'll produce good outputs. Okay, so let's go to outputs and logs. Okay, so here they'll basically just have all the data and the outputs that were involved over here. Let's see. So these are sort of all the things that we're not concerned about since we didn't have to touch code, but these are the sort of things that Azure AI would be doing in the background. But these are all the things that Azure AI would do for us. But yeah, let's look at child jobs. Okay, so these are basically all the sort of sub jobs that were done within the main job that we just created. So in this case, there's a really long-winded name here. So let's take a look. Okay, so here they'll have all the information there for you. And then you can also view the metrics of the sub jobs as well. So sometimes you won't have any metrics, and that's okay. And then if you have more experience with code, then you might be able to go through these as well out of interest. Okay. let's see. So once you've used automated ML to train your machine learning model, you can actually go on and use these models in your own applications or projects, which is really cool. So you don't have to go ahead and code up a lot of stuff if you're not comfortable with it. If you want to try out machine learning models in your own little projects, then you can just use automated ML on Azure AI and then just integrate it into your projects. And it would look really impressive in your projects too. Let's see. Okay. So that's going to be still running for a while. That's fine. Since I already showed you guys the completed one, that'll be okay. And yeah, so I won't show you guys the integration to applications since that'll take up a lot of time. So yeah, I think that's it. Bilal, what do you think? Oh, is he there? Okay, he might be a little busy. So does anyone have any questions before? Oh, yeah, Bilal?
Marjia, can you tell the participants that what we have done in this?
Oh, like a summary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what we basically went through in today's event is we went through preparing our data and we selected data sets through Kaggle. So this thing here. Now, Kaggle isn't the only place that you can get your data sets from. You can also get your data sets from other popular platforms like Hugging
Marjia,
Face.
the screen is little bit flickering.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll stop my sharing and then start again.
You can reshare the screen. So
Okay, is that better?
wait. Yeah, it's now better.
Okay. So what we did in today's event is we basically went through how to create a machine learning model using Azure AI's automated ML. So we first got a data set from a third-party platform. So in my case, I used Kaggle, but you can also go ahead and use other platforms like Hugging Face. And we set up our workspace. So in my case, I use MLSD event. And then we went over to assets and prepared our data in the data section. And then once that was done, we went over to jobs. If that can load. But anyways, we went over to jobs and then we created the experiment, which would then be used to train our machine learning model. And there we go. So we created the ML model for spam experiment, and this would have been used to train our machine learning model. And then we went over to automate the ML. And then here we basically had a list of our completed jobs and then were the jobs that are currently running. And then if your jobs would have failed, they would also pop up here. And then, as I explained earlier, we were also able to see the outputs of the model that we trained through going through the best algorithm in this case. And yeah, that's basically just a brief overview of what this event consisted of. Okay, Bilal?
Okay, so I will speak little bit. Okay, so guys, हम लोगों ने इस इवेंट में बेसिकली ओवरऑल जो मशीन लर्निंग का एक बेसिक मॉडल है वो क्रिएट किया एज एग्जांपल हम लोगों ने उसे देखा। तो ये कि जो डाटा सेट्स वगैरह जो मशीन लर्निंग में जो क्रिएट होते हैं ऑन एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म, तो हम लोगों ने बेसिकली वो क्रिएट किया। सो मर्जिया, देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑन चैट बॉक्स।
Let me stop sharing my screen. After taking data set, we need to clean the data. Okay, yeah, great question. So after you've taken, oh, let me share my screen. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, so after you've taken your data set from Kaggle, all you have to do is just upload your data. Upload your data through here create, and then Azure AI will automatically clean it for you. You don't have to do any cleaning. Hope that answers your question.
गाइस आप लोगों का कोई भी क्वेश्चन है तो आप लोग चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हो, देन हम लोग एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन का लिंक सेंड करते हैं चैट बॉक्स में, ताकि आप लोग गिव अवे में पार्टिसिपेट कर लो. Yeah, definitely. We will share the recording of this event in the community. So let me share the link of the group of our community. Let me share. So this is the link of our group, MLSA community. You can join for future updates and of this event recording too. I will provide the event recording in this community.
Yeah, Adiba, we don't need to code anything for in this case.
अदीबा, हम लोगों ने इसमें बेसिकली एज्योर मॉडल में इतना कोई कोड वगैरह इंक्लूड नहीं करना पड़ता, जस्ट बेसिकली जो प्रैक्टिसेस वगैरह और नॉर्मली जो स्टेप्स है बस जस्ट वही हम लोगों ने परफॉर्म करने होते हैं ऑन एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म पे. So Marjia, there is also a question.
Yeah. So with automated ML, if you remember, I selected automatic for the experiment that I was going through. So in this case, Azure AI will know which model to use in order to get the best outputs.
So is there any question left, guys? You can ask, then I will share the link.
Bilal, I think Adiba wants to explain it again.
There is one more
I don't know if she
question.
wants it in English or Urdu.
Yeah, you can explain it English too.
Aliza, I'm not too sure which is best. My experience is mainly within Azure, but you can definitely search up online if Copilot could be better. But I mainly work with Azure AI. Shami, can we use federated learning on Azure? Yeah, I think we can use federated learning on Azure, Charmaine. But you can double check though. I mostly worked with automated ML and a bit of Jupyter Notebook. So I think that's called Azure Cloud Free. So I had a subscription from a program, but I think students are able to get free Azure credits if I can double check now.
हसन भाई, बेसिकली जो एज्योर क्रेडिट्स हम लोगों को एमएलएसएस को मिलते हैं, तो ये कि एमएलएसए के बाद आप लोग ये कि माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म फ्रीली यूज़ कर सकते हो, एमएल मॉडल्स वगैरह कुछ भी क्रिएट इजीली कर सकते हो. और अलीजा, जो कंपैरिजन रहता है कोपायलट और एज्योर में, सो बेसिकली एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म पे कोपायलट का अलग से ऑप्शन होता है, तो वहाँ पर एक सेपरेट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट कोपायलट का ऑप्शन है, तो हम लोग माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म पे कोपायलट भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं.
And also, if you're a Microsoft Learn ambassador like me and Bilal are, then you can get $150 of monthly Azure credits, which you can use for stuff like Azure AI.
So there is also one more question.
How can we train our model? How will we? Okay. So Adiba, in our case for today's event, we used automated ML. So all we had to do was actually just create an experiment and upload our data, and then Azure AI knew exactly which algorithm would be best to get good outputs. So we only had to do a bit of stuff in order to train our model. So things like uploading data and specifying what type of task our model would be. So in our case, classification. So these little things are all training our model.
और बेसिकली हसन भाई हम लोग जो एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म है वहाँ पर हमें एज एम एल से 150 एज्योर फ्री क्रेडिट्स में मिलता है। तो आप उसके लिए अगर आप एज्योर प्लेटफॉर्म फ्रीली यूज़ करना चाहते हो तो आप माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एम एल से प्रोग्राम को ज्वाइन कर सकते हो। There are like a lot of subscription in Microsoft Azure platform, so you can see them in detail who are like not Microsoft ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Adiba, so basically, if we don't have like much experience or knowledge about ML models, so if you look like you are little bit passionate about machine learning stuff, so you can like join our future events, or you can also connect with our host. So Marjia, can you share your LinkedIn profile link so that
Oh
people
yeah.
can connect with you?
Okay.
Okay, guys. So let me also share the active participation form. So you can also
You guys
must,
can connect with me there.
yeah, guys. Guys, the active participation form link has been provided in the chat box. So kindly fill the form to be eligible for e-certificates and LinkedIn Premium. So who are like submitting the form? So after submitting, kindly write in the chat like you have done so that we can also know. गाइस हम लोगों ने एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन फॉर्म चैट बॉक्स में पिन कर दिया, तो आप लोग वो फिल कर सकते हैं काइंडली। और जो भी एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन फॉर्म को फिल करे काइंडली चैट बॉक्स में भी डन लिख दे ताकि हमें पता चल जाए आप लोगों ने फॉर्म फिल कर लिया।
Yes, Eliza?
Yeah, there is another question from Eliza too. So Eliza, you can also
Yeah,
message us on LinkedIn too, so we can also tell you more about it.
if I have some. Okay. Yeah. So I have some resources in the slides. Mohammed Bilal, I think Aliza wants to know more about the ambassador program in detail. If
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
tell her.
Yeah. Okay, so Eliza, you can message me on LinkedIn. So I will guide you in more detail on LinkedIn. Okay, so let me also share my LinkedIn too. Okay, okay, let me share my LinkedIn profile too. So here is my LinkedIn profile. You guys can easily connect I will definitely message or reply. So Eliza, I will guide you more about like Azure machine learning or other platforms, so you can also learn from that too. So guys, आप लोगों ने एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन फॉर्म लिंक अगर सबमिट कर दिया तो लेट मी ऑल्सो रीशेयर। तो मैंने दोबारा
Oh,
से एक्टिव
I'll stop
पार्टिसिपेशन फॉर्म
sharing screen.
लिंक्स सेंड कर दिया, तो आप लोग ये सबमिट कर सकते हो जिन लोगों ने अभी तक नहीं किया, ताकि हम लोग अपनी मीटिंग ना क्लोज कर लें। और जिन लोगों को और भी फर्दर इश्यूज वगैरह या मशीन लर्निंग वगैरह के लिए और भी कुछ लोग पार्टिसिपेंट डेफिनेटली पेशनेट है तब, तो आप लोग हमें लिंक्डइन पर मैसेज कर सकते हो, ताकि हम लोगों को पता चल जाए आप लोग इस इवेंट से हो, तो हम लोग डेफिनेटली आप लोगों से कनेक्ट होंगे और रिप्लाईज वगैरह आप लोगों को दे देंगे।
So Bilal Fiza asked if the MLSA courses are free.
So basically, MLSA have like a learning platform. It's like basically known as Microsoft Learn. So you can also search from there too. So you, I will also send the link in the LinkedIn Premium if you will message me. So guys, have you done with the form so that we can close the meeting? And soon e-certificates will be provided till probably this weekend, so no worries. और गाइस जिन लोगों ने कम्युनिटी अभी तक नहीं ज्वाइन की, वो कम्युनिटी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं इजीली। तो हम लोग यहाँ पर इन फ्यूचर वी विल अनाउंस लिंक्डइन प्रीमियम विनर्स और इवेंट रिकॉर्डिंग इन दिस ग्रुप एज वेल, सो यू कैन ज्वाइन। So guys, have you done with the active participation form? Kindly write in the chat so we can close the event.
The community is on WhatsApp, Mohammed.
So let's wait for 1 minute so that any participant cannot be left for the active participation form. बाकी गाइज आप लोगों को कोई भी इशू हो या एमएलएस प्रोग्राम में या कोई भी हो ना, तो आप लोग मुझे इजीली लिंक्डइन में मैसेज वगैरह कर सकते हो। देन वहाँ पर इंशाल्लाह हम लोग अपनी पूरी ट्राई करेंगे कि आप लोगों को रिस्पॉन्सेज वगैरह दें और गाइड वगैरह करें। So here is my LinkedIn. I am re-sharing the link so you can connect with me easily, guys. And Marjia, you can re-share your LinkedIn
Oh yeah, yeah.
for third time so that
Um,
any participant will not miss that link.
yeah. So you guys can connect with me if you like. There you go.
Okay, guys. So looks like all the participants have filled the form. Okay, so thank you guys for joining the event. इंशाल्लाह हम लोग आप लोगों के लिए और भी इसी तरह के अमेजिंग इवेंट्स लेंगे। तो आप लोग कोई भी सजेशन वगैरह भी हमें साथ दे सकते हो, ताकि हम लोग फ्यूचर इवेंट्स भी उस तरह रखें। Okay, guys. So see you in the next event, inshallah. So we are ending this event.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Okay,
Thanks
so
for
see you
coming.
guys.
Bye.